ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball. Come out to the ballpark as the Ferry Hawks welcome in the Charleston Dirty Birds May 5th through the 10th. Grab the kids and come on out. We kick it off on Tuesday, May 5th with Cinco de Baseball with $5 tickets and $5 food and beverage specials. And we end the week as we celebrate all moms on Mother's Day. Moms get in free. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, May 1st. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today, the high 64. The weekend looks like this. Saturday, clouds, high 60. Sunday, sunshine, high 61. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 47, partly cloudy in Hampton Bays out on Long Island. It's 42 and clear in Flemington over in New Jersey. And it's 44 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
The Knicks have a huge night, giving New York fans something to cheer about. Someone opens fire in a New Jersey library. A father and son busted for a pill mill on Long Island. What kind of jerk punches a 9-year-old in the face? And the Foo Fighters go old school and their followers go nuts. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. Big night. Let's start with something happy on a Friday. Knicks finish off the Hawks in Atlanta last night. Had their biggest playoff victory in franchise history, 140-89. I was up watching this until the end of the first half, and I somehow thought they would blow the lead just because I'm a Knicks fan. But fans watched the game that was in Atlanta outside the Garden on big screens last night.
Let's go, Knicks!
Yo!
No better city than you! Yo!
This is like a record win for them. This is our year. It feels great.
If you want
this
to
is
see
awesome.
Yeah, Knicks broke several NBA records by halftime. They had a 40-15 lead at the end of the first quarter. That marked the largest of the shot clock era. Their 47-point lead at halftime, biggest in playoff history. It was New York's third straight win after falling 1-2 in the series following back-to-back 1-point losses, but they came back big.
We're
Waiting for this moment.
It came this far, we going all the way. Try going against the Celtics for sure, and we going all the way.
Great city. We love our basketball. We love our sports. Let's end this championship drought.
Yeah, finally something to cheer about here in New York. Now they wait the winner of the Celtics-Sixers series. That one's knotted up at 3-3. Game 7 there is tomorrow night in Boston. Of course, Justin Ellick can have a whole lot more on that and everything else in the sports world coming up at 5:15. Out to New Jersey. Gunfire erupted inside a library in Freehold yesterday. A man shot several times. This was middle of the afternoon at the library on East Main Street, downtown Freehold.
I heard gunshots, and it was very odd in the middle of the day, so I thought maybe it's a car. He wasn't moving. I don't know if he seemed to be alive, but it was very strange that it happened inside a library. Very scary.
Yeah, now cops not giving us a ton of information on this shooting, but a woman outside the library says the victim was a childhood friend of hers who was in his early 20s.
I honestly do not know why he was targeted. I can't speak on that, but regardless of the fact of the matter is, he shouldn't have been. I think it's just everybody's mind is so wrapped around and consumed in negativity and bad stuff that it consumes the youth.
Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office investigating, calling it an isolated incident, but they didn't tell us whether the gunman's in custody or not, and we were trying to get word this morning. The victim taken to the hospital, but there's been no update on his condition. 5:03. Let's go over to Queens on a story we were telling you about early yesterday morning. We have a little more information. A man involved in this domestic dispute and an explosion at a house in Queens, in Ozone Park, Queens. This was early Thursday yesterday or morning, right when we were coming onto the air. Maybe it was an hour before we came on. And the person that was involved in this domestic dispute that apparently involved a knife and explosive, he hasn't been found yet. This happened about 3 a.m. at a house on 130th Street in South Ozone Park.
The call was placed by a family member of the victim who stated that her male relative arrived at their residence intoxicated and armed with a knife. There was a smell of gas.
That's Police Chief Christopher McIntosh. He says en route Pasaram, believed to be the estranged husband, had canisters filled with what appeared to be gas. That likely led to the explosion, but we don't know 100% for sure. Family members inside, they fled when officers tried to get into the house. That's when this massive explosion took place, sending multiple officers off their feet. More from the police.
The officers were violently, and multiple officers were thrown off their feet, with some being launched into gates at the front of the residence.
Yeah, so several officers suffered minor burns and cuts. We're told everybody is going to be okay, thank God. The house ended up on fire. It ended up collapsing. But again, the man involved in all of this estranged husband, as we know of 5:04 this morning, he has not been found. A New York City rabbi has been found murdered in Colombia.
Just days after his family in Brooklyn reported him missing, Rabbi Nachum Israel Eber was found dismembered, his remains stuffed into a blood-stained wardrobe dumped on a street in Bogota. Police say the 51-year-old Borough Park father was likely attacked by a gang that targets tourists, stealing money, jewelry, and ID. The rabbi, who's a member of the Belz Hasidic community, was in Colombia to advise a congregation of Catholics who converted to Judaism. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
5:05, Mayor Mamdani's plan to provide free pre-K to New Yorkers took a big step forward yesterday.
It's called the Little Apple, and it's the first no-cost childcare exclusively for municipal workers. Mayor Mamdani announced the pilot program Thursday, saying any New York City worker who's the parent or legal guardian of a child 6 weeks to 3 years of age is eligible. Applications are being accepted through May 15th. The program, which will be run by the Imagine Early Learning Center, is expected to save parents an average of $20,000 a year. You can download an application and get more information on the mayor's website. In New York, I'm Daria Albinger.
Let's head out to Washington State, where 6 were injured in a stabbing at a high school there. The student says the school seems to have had recent violence, not shocked by what took place yesterday.
We had things that happened before, like February. There was a lot of fights.
5 students, 1 security guard, hospitalized after the incident at Foss High School. That's in Tacoma.
Like, they chill with people, they'll really say something if they need to say something.
Now, 4 of those hurt are reportedly in bad condition, and they're not saying it's critical, but somewhere in between. Tacoma police say that the person who did this whole thing, the person is in custody. Students involved say it was a wild scene. A 6th person was taken to a hospital with minor injuries. We think that's the person that was the student that carried this out, but again, not a whole lot of information being released in that case out of Tacoma. Really testy down in D.C. yesterday with Secretary of War Pete Hegseth back on Capitol Hill for another day testifying about the war in Iran. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly went back and forth with Hegseth.
The time frame we were existing under was unacceptable.
Okay, well,
and
tell
what this
me,
budget does, months and years. Fast.
Years.
We're building new plants in real time.
So just to replace what we have expended.
I said months.
And then you said years.
It depends on the weapon system.
Now, Hegseth was there with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane. Yesterday, we'll actually check that. Today is the 60-day mark for the start of the war, which is the War Powers Resolution deadline for President Trump to seek congressional authorization. Now, Hegseth told senators yesterday, because there's a ceasefire, he claims that clock stopped.
So you're the Secretary of Defense. The things you say matter. And your response here, right now, makes it clear to the American people exactly why you are not right for this job.
It makes it clear to our enemies, Senator. We are in a ceasefire right now, which our understanding means the 60-day clock pauses or stops in a ceasefire.
Yeah, House Speaker Mike Johnson's in agreement with that. He says Congress doesn't need to weigh in the War Powers Act because the U.S. technically is not at war with Iran.
We're policing the Strait of Hormuz and trying to get to a peace. The president and the administration are moving as aggressively as possible. There's nothing Congress can do to move that along any further.
Yeah, so under this War Powers Resolution of 1973, it requires presidents to get that approval for military action that goes beyond 60 days. But Johnson claims that Congress doesn't have any reason to get involved just yet.
I don't think we have any active kinetic military bombing, firing, anything like that right now. We're trying to broker a peace, and it would be I would be very reluctant to get in front of the administration in the midst of these very sensitive negotiations.
And the price of oil amid the war surging to its highest levels in 4 years. Correspondent Alice Barr reports the increase comes as President Trump says the U.S. will continue its naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz.
President Trump weighing potential military options to clear the bottleneck in the critical Strait of Hormuz, according to two sources, while adamant the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports is working.
Now they have to cry uncle. That's all they have to do, just say, we give up.
Now, Brent crude prices, they rose about 3% yesterday. They briefly climbed above $120 per barrel. The U.S. blockade of Iranian ports having an impact, though, on Iran.
A new Kepler report shows Iran is losing up to $250 million a day in oil revenue and running out of space to store oil, though the payment cycle means money won't actually stop flowing in for another 3 to 4 months.
Now, back here in the tri-state, lots of unhappy drivers. Gas now above $4 a gallon.
The gas prices are insane. They are too high.
Look at this, $5.49 a gallon. It cut in my bottom line.
Yeah, $5.49, that must be like out west in California. $5.12, Jeffrey Epstein's former cellmate in New York claims he found a suicide note written by the sex predator.
Nicholas Tartaglione told the New York Times he found a suicide note in the cell he shared with Epstein at the Metropolitan Correctional Center that said, "Time to say goodbye." It was in July 2019 after Epstein was found unresponsive with cloth wrapped around his neck. He recovered but was found hanged weeks later. His death ruled a suicide. The newspaper says that note has been locked away for 7 years after a federal judge ordered it sealed. The Times filed a petition Thursday to get it unsealed. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
A bill that would ban AI chatbots from talking to kids moving forward on Capitol Hill. Republican Ted Cruz from Texas says this is a huge problem as the technology becomes more available.
AI chatbots that are pushing self-harm to our kids, that are pushing suicide to our kids. That needs to stop.
Now, in the audience for the vote yesterday was a Texas mom whose son committed self-harm after suffering a mental crisis allegedly due to AI chatbot use.
This is an incredibly dangerous phenomenon. And I think this bill is an important step to protecting our kids online.
Yeah, this GUARD Act mandates age verification, creates new criminal prohibitions on companies whose chatbots solicit or produce sexual content. 5:13. The man accused of trying to assassinate President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner last weekend will remain locked up. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro says suspect Cole Allen is a dangerous man.
This defendant was calculated. He was premeditated. He had every intention of killing the president.
In a Washington, D.C. court hearing yesterday, Allen waived his right to challenge his detention before his trial. The 31-year-old tutor from California was allegedly armed with a shotgun, pistol, knives when he raced towards the Hilton ballroom where President Trump was seated on Saturday night.
People, especially younger people, have been, kind of brought up to believe that the only way there's going to be social change is through political violence. The complaint that's been filed is just a holding charge. There will be a lot of testimony. There will be many more charges.
Yeah, for now, Allen's been charged with at least 2 felonies, including an attempt to assassinate the President of the United States. While we're down in D.C., President Trump signing an executive order yesterday that expands access to retirement plans for American workers. The president says the plan creates government retirement accounts for employers without workplace plans.
This afternoon, I'm thrilled to sign a historic executive order expanding access to high-quality retirement savings accounts for millions of Americans.
The president says the plans would be listed on a new website, TrumpIRA.gov. They are the same plans that federal workers are eligible for.
State of the Union, earlier this year, I promised to make the same types of retirement accounts enjoyed by the federal employees available to all Americans. So that's what we're doing. Beginning at the start of next year, every American will be able to go to TrumpIRA.gov and open a new low-cost IRA account. You'll then be able to access the same type of retirement accounts that federal employees enjoy through the thrift savings plans.
In a moment, we're going to go down to Florida. A fraud case that is just so huge. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Friday. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Friday. Good morning to you, Noam. Let's start out here in Atlanta. The Knicks led by as many as 61 points in a stunning 148-89 victory over the Hawks, tied for the sixth largest margin in NBA playoff history, putting an exclamation point on a 4-2 first-round playoff series win and advancing to the Eastern Conference semifinals. New York turned a 2-point deficit into a 25-point lead at the end of the first quarter, and the Knicks surged to an NBA playoff record 47-point halftime cushion. The 51-point final margin of victory was the largest playoff win in franchise history. Karl Anthony Towns orchestrated the offense once again, finishing with 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists, his second triple-double of the series. OG Anunoby, who nearly outscored the Hawks in the first half himself, scored 29, and Mikal Bridges had a bounce-back performance in Game 6, shooting 10 of 12 and finishing with 24 points and 5 rebounds. Despite the lopsided victory, Knicks center Mitchell Robinson was ejected in the second quarter for an altercation with Hawks guard Dyson Daniels, who was also thrown out. Both players got tangled up during a free throw, and the scuffle got close to the crowd, actually, before both players were separated. The Knicks will await the winner of the Boston Celtics-Philadelphia 76ers series, which will conclude with a Game 7 in Boston on Saturday. Elsewhere last night, we'll speak of that matchup between the Sixers and the Celtics. Sixers winning 106-93, and of course, once again, that Game 7 tomorrow night from
What's
Boston.
going on with the
series
Celtics? Jeez. I mean, the Sixers don't have a great team. I can't believe they've knotted this up at 3-3.
Yeah, I don't know. They've been getting bullied for the last few years by Boston, Philadelphia. So, maybe they're just sick of losing to the Celts, and they want to, that's motivating them to get off the schneid here and pull together some victories in this really, really tight series now, obviously, heading to a Game 7. And anything can happen in Game 7. I do think the Celtics will prevail at home in Game 7. But, still a very valiant fight from the Sixers. And, they could finish the job. And if you're a Knicks fan, you're looking at an Eastern Conference that looks pretty weak in the first-round action outside of the Knicks, who in the last 3 games have played really, really good basketball. So, the Eastern Conference getting shaken up here in the first round. Out in Minnesota, the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets 110-98 in Game 6 there. Minnesota wins that series 4-2. They'll meet the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference semifinals starting on Monday night. Let's head to the Diamond in Queens. Mets lost 5-4 to the Nationals in the finale rubber game of a 3-game series, good for their 17th loss in 20 games. They lost a game in which they were ahead for the 10th time this year. Up next for the Mets, righty Christian Scott starts tonight in Los Angeles against the Angels in the opener of a 3-game weekend set. And the Yankees will get their weekend series underway at home in the Bronx. They'll welcome in the Baltimore Orioles for a 7:05 p.m. first pitch in Game 1 of 4. Will Warren will get the start there. That is your sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time, 5:20. It is May Day, because it's May 1. Massive May Day demonstrations are planned today across the country, led by labor unions and Democrat-backed organizations.
The director of Organized Power in Numbers, Nadie Dominguez, says she expects over 3,000 demonstrations. Dominguez says several cities, including Los Angeles and Chicago, are preparing for citywide economic blackouts. Chicago public school officials say they're working to hold classes, even though the Chicago Teachers Union says it plans to embrace a no school, no work, no shopping day of protest. I'm Mark Mayfield.
This week's Supreme Court ruling about redistricting in Louisiana starting to have a ripple effect in other states like Texas, which has also been redrawing congressional maps.
There is ongoing litigation challenging maps in Texas with regards minority representation.
That's Chuck DeVour. He's with the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Says the ruling now tilts that in Texas's favor.
The Supreme Court case will significantly tilt these ongoing cases in favor of Texas.
He says it's too soon, though, to see if the state legislature will use the court case to do redistricting at the state level with boundaries for the House and Senate seats. 5:21. Let's go down to Florida. Florida in a fraud case that is just huge. Are you one of those people who has to pay homeowner fees and you always wonder where those fees are going? Well, in the case of this couple in Florida, it was going into their pockets. The president of the Hammocks HOA and her husband pleading guilty yesterday in what is being called the largest homeowner association fraud ever in America.
They were responsible for stealing upwards of $11 million from 18,000 hardworking Miami-Dade homeowners.
Margeli Galeo and Jose Gonzalez ran the Hammocks HOA, apparently like an organized crime syndicate, stealing that $11 million from 18,000 homeowners over a number of years.
Are you pleading guilty because you are in fact guilty, or do you believe the plea is in your best interest?
Yes, I'm guilty.
Yes, I'm guilty. Sentencing you to 7 years in the state prison with all applicable credit for time served, followed by 7 years of reporting probation. Special conditions will include stay-away order from the Hammocks Community Association.
It's sort of amazing. Now, $11 million, you think they probably started stealing little amounts and realized they could get away with it and then started stealing large amounts of money. 2 people are dead after a bank robbery in central Kentucky yesterday afternoon. It was at a U.S. bank in Berea.
These 2 victims, we have a female victim and we have a male victim. I won't be giving you their names or anything at this time, but they're our people. There are people that work in our community.
Yeah, so police say the bank robber fled the area after the shooting. Multiple agencies spent the day searching for him. Berea, it's about 40 miles south of Lexington.
We do have some leads, and we're trying our best to bring this evil person to justice. They're going to be working hand to hand with us. We have the ATF here. We have the FBI. U.S. Marshals is bringing people. We have numerous canines that's been in the area.
Yeah, but so far no sign of that bank robber. 523, a $400 million mega mansion in Bel Air, California. Now the most expensive home listed in the U.S.
It's also the most expensive public residential listing in the world. If sold near the asking price, it would break the record for the most expensive home ever sold in the U.S. The current record is about $240 million for a New York City apartment that was sold in 2019. This potentially record-breaking property, called the Crown Jewel of Los Angeles, hit the real estate market on Tuesday. It sits on 8 acres of land and has 39 bedrooms and 59 bathrooms across multiple structures, totaling 70,000 square feet. I'm Daniel Martindale.
That's a big home. A new Wallet Hub report shows where drug abuse is hitting the hardest across the country.
Wallet Hub compared overdose deaths, opioid prescriptions, and teen drug use to create its annual list. The study names West Virginia as the state with the worst drug abuse problem, followed by the District of Columbia, Arkansas, Missouri, and New Mexico. Researchers say these states face high overdose rates and limited access to treatment, making recovery especially difficult for families and communities. Colorado, Nevada, Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Arizona round out the top 10. I'm Monica Nelson.
525. Lawmakers calling now for a criminal investigation into the now shuttered sloth world in Florida after Bandit, a sloth rescued from the facility, passed away. Governor DeSantis not too happy.
There's this issue with this sloth world in Orlando. Like, honestly, I mean, it was really, really weird to me. I know FWC got involved, and I think that they're going to have to rectify whatever was the matter.
Yeah, this is an odd story. At least 32 sloths at the Orlando attraction have died.
Like I said, it was kind of surprising to me to see just that was even an issue, that would even be an attraction. Honestly, I was surprised to see that. So, but they'll get it right one way or another.
Yeah, DeSantis says they'll get to the bottom of it at some point. WABC News Time 525. A billionaire businessman looks to turn his luck around in tomorrow's Kentucky Derby. Mike Rapoli says he's the owner of the line favorite right now, Renegade. Despite all his successes, though, Rapoli is 0 for 11 in the Derby, including 3 scratches over the years.
Getting here, I'm good friends with Rick Pitino. He's been to 7 Final Fours. He won 2 championships, right? 7 Final Fours is pretty cool.
Yeah, I had family members that owned horses. It's always a losing thing, so this is not shocking. Rapoli is a New York native who made his fortune in the sports drink industry. He began his thoroughbred operation about 20 years ago. 526, the investigation continues after Wednesday's close call between a drone and an airplane at San Diego International Airport. United Airlines says the drone did not hit their plane on approach to San Diego, but the pilot reported it was an incredibly close call at an altitude well above the legal limit for drones.
Drones can't go above 400 feet above ground level, and this one was up around 3,000 feet.
That's a retired Air Force Colonel, Rich Martindale, who says the problem is so many people are operating drones without the proper license or training.
One of the biggest problems the FAA has is there's so many people operating drones that are not properly trained and licensed. That's probably what the case was here.
Yeah, close call there. Thankfully, nobody was hurt.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour. Talking the news with Noam Laden. All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now, Talking the News with Noam on 77 WABC.
Good morning. It is Friday, May 1st. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today, high 64. Saturday, cloudy, high 60. Sunday, better, sunshine, high 61. If you are walking out the door with us right now, 47, partly cloudy in Hampton Bays out on Long Island. It is 42 and clear in Flemington over in New Jersey, and it's 44 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time, 5:39. The FBI and prosecutors say a Long Island doctor and his son were operating a family-run mill pill on Long Island in what authorities describe as a brazen abuse of medical authority. Over a roughly 3-month period, the physician allegedly wrote these fraudulent prescriptions for highly addictive medications without ever examining patients. While his son, he was out on the streets finding buyers and collecting payments as part of this scheme. Let's hear more from the DEA.
They received a large amount of prescriptions from one doctor, and they found that to be suspicious.
Authorities say the pair distributed a wide range of drugs, including those known like as Percocet, the most addictive drugs, Adderall, Xanax. So here is the doctor. I'm always amazed by these stories that a father and son are involved in a scheme. Like at some point, doesn't one say to the other, maybe we shouldn't be doing this? But that wasn't the case here. Dr. Richard Taubman, a 71-year-old retired physician, and his 33-year-old son, Eric, surrendered yesterday to investigators as they laid out what they were doing.
Some of these individuals would take the prescriptions and sell it themselves, and other times they would give the medications that they picked up to Eric Tubman, and then he would sell them.
If I said to my kid I want to run a pill mill, he'd be like, Dad, I don't want to do that. The dad is a retired gynecologist from Great Neck. Investigators say this happened for months, and they were, handing out controlled substances or selling them probably to people who were addicted to them.
A lot of people get addicted to those drugs, and then they turn out to be deadly if you do an overdose.
We entrust our doctors with our health. And here you have a doctor that's abusing that and exploiting that just to turn a profit.
That's some of the Taubman's neighbors. If convicted, the father, the son, they could face 5.5 years behind bars. While we're out on Long Island, LIRR workers could be going on strike in a matter of weeks as the workers union. The MTA are showing they're nowhere close to a deal. Now, there was an MTA meeting in the middle of this week, and it seemed like the two sides maybe were getting closer, but apparently that's not the case. It would be the first strike on the LIRR in over 30 years. A union leadership MTA chair, Jano Lieber, trading blows yesterday.
We are ready to settle this today. The only thing preventing that is the MTA's failure to act. The clock is ticking.
The suggestion that the MTA has not been willing to negotiate is nonsense.
This would be a huge deal. Over 300,000 LIRR riders could be affected on May 16th if the deal doesn't get done. The two sides fighting over the size of a pay bump in the 4th year of their contract. The MTA has now released its contingency plans in the event of a strike. By the way, none of it is good. It would be buses to Jamaica. It would be a nightmare like it was 30 years ago. Hopefully they'll be able to come together and come up with a plan before May 16th. 542 up to Westchester. Large police investigation was underway for a likely murder-suicide. This was in Greenburgh yesterday. Neighbors saying they watched all of a sudden the bunch of cops showed up in the Parkway Homes area of the town for a welfare check yesterday afternoon. Police went into this home, and when they did, they found 3 adults with gunshot wounds. One person was taken to Westchester Medical. But all three of these people died. And what police sending us a statement last night saying this was an isolated domestic violence incident, and they do not believe there's any danger to the surrounding community, suggesting that this was a murder-suicide. I imagine we'll get more details of this early this morning or later this morning, but here were some neighbors who were freaked out by it.
I looked through the window and I see so many police, so I thought something happened. You know, I don't know. I didn't hear nothing.
It's alarming. It's like frightening.
It is frightening. The identities of those involved, they have not been released yet. 544. Let's go down a little further to the Bronx, where, thank God, police have caught up with this creepy 15-year-old. So a 9-year-old boy was in Grant Park in the Bronx, right near East 69th and Grant Avenue, and he was playing with some friends, and they were squirting juice at each other. And then they accidentally squirted this 15-year-old with the juice as they were throwing juice at each other, and the 15-year-old freaked out. He thought initially it was alcohol, and he went up to this 9-year-old, and he punched him numerous times in the face, and then he hit him with a cable charger. It was an incredibly vicious attack. And again, the good news is they caught up with this 15-year-old late yesterday.
He thought it was alcohol, but it was actually...
I should point out, this is the victim, the 9-year-old victim.
He thought it was alcohol, but it was actually juice. He hit me 2 times with the wire and 3 times with his fist over here. I tried to say sorry for like almost 5 minutes, but he didn't want to take it.
Yeah, so the attack left that child deep gash wounds across his forehead. Another teen in the park actually took the 9-year-old to the mom when they were taken to the hospital. Little boy said he had seen the teen before, but it took them a while till they caught up with them. Now, of course, he's scared to return to the park. And neighbors say, really, who would go beat up a 9-year-old? What's wrong with you?
It just ain't insane because it's not even that serious, especially if it's a little boy. Most likely he didn't even do it on purpose.
Hitting him is unnecessary. He's an adult. He's a minor.
Yeah, so we don't know any more about the 15-year-old, but we do know the good news is he was arrested late yesterday, charged with assault. In a moment, we'll tell you about a huge bust in the Bronx, an auto theft ring where they were stealing all kinds of parts. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Alec.
Thank you, Noah Maladen. We'll start out here in Atlanta. The Knicks led by as many as 61 points in a stunning 140-89 victory over the Hawks, tied for the 6th largest margin in NBA playoff history, putting an exclamation point on a 4-2 first-round playoff series win and advancing to the Eastern Conference semifinals. New York turned a 2-point deficit into a 25-point lead at the end of the first quarter, and the Knicks surged to an NBA playoff record 47-point halftime cushion. The 51-point final margin of victory was the largest playoff win in franchise history. Karl Anthony Towns went for another triple-double, 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists, his second of the series. OG Anunoby, who nearly outscored the Hawks himself in the first half, scored 29, and Mikal Bridges had a bounce-back performance in Game 6, shooting 10 of 12 and finishing with 24 points and 5 rebounds. Despite the lopsided victory, Knicks center Mitchell Robinson was ejected in the second quarter for an altercation with Hawks guard Dyson Daniels, who was also thrown out. Both players got tangled up during a free throw. The scuffle got close to the crowd before both players were separated. The Knicks await the winner of the Boston Celtics Philadelphia 76ers series, which will conclude with a Game 7 in Boston on Saturday, following Philly's 106-93 win over the Celtics last night, tying that series at 3 games apiece. Also out in Minnesota, the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets 110-98, so Minnesota wins that series 4-2. They'll meet the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference semifinals starting Monday night.
Who would you rather play, the Sixers or the Celtics? I mean, on paper you would think it'd be the Celtics, but if the Sixers win this thing, right?
Sixers.
We'd rather play no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, you don't want to wake up a sleeping giant in the Celtics here in the second round. On paper, for sure. You're right. They are the better team. And, I think if you're looking at both rosters, if you're a Knicks fan, you definitely want to see a more dwindled Philadelphia 76ers team in the second round. I mean, they're playing good basketball now with their backs up against the wall here. But, they would be the more the better case scenario, I would say, for the Knicks in the second round. So, the Timberwolves, I should say, will meet the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference semifinals starting Monday night. Noam, we'll head to the Diamond in Queens. The Mets lost 5-4 to the Nationals in the finale rubber game of a 3-game series. Good for their 17th loss in 20 games. Up next for them, righty Christian Scott starts tonight in Los Angeles against the Angels in the opener of a 3-game weekend set. Also tonight, the Yankees will get their weekend action underway at home. They'll welcome in the Baltimore Orioles for the first of 4 to 7:05 p.m. first pitch, and Will Warren will get the start there. That's your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time, 5:50. Let's head up to the Bronx, where more than a dozen people indicted yesterday for their alleged involvement in an auto theft ring. Prosecutors say surveillance video shows this 3-person team of mass thieves that would come equipped with power tools, a car jack, and milk crates, and they would strip cars of tires, rims, and catalytic converters within just minutes. Here's the Bronx DA, Darcel Clark.
They allegedly worked fast like a race car pit crew in the dead of night. When I saw some of this, it was like you're looking at the F1 movie. Then in the morning, people rushed out of the door to drive to school or to work or both, only to find the frame of their car resting on milk crates.
You know, they sent us some of this video. It is wild. They do work like a pit crew for NASCAR. It was amazing how fast they would get away. Darcel Clark, Jessica Tisch, of course, the police commissioner, together announcing the indictment of 16 people accused of stealing $1.2 million in car parts. Prosecutors say there are more than 205 victims in this year-long investigation that dates back to July of last year.
This was a large, well-organized, gang-affiliated crew of people who made it their job, literally every night, to go out and steal cars and car parts.
These defendants allegedly stole car parts in almost every precinct in the Bronx, as well as in Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens.
And as it always seems in these cases, the victims were looking, or rather the people involved in this, were looking for Hondas and Toyota SUVs. That's the parts apparently that sell really well in the black market.
The suspects chose these parts because they'd be the easiest to sell within a larger marketplace. It was a simple supply and demand designed to make the most money from the most available product.
But now that crew of 16 behind bars this morning. 5:52, let's head over to New Jersey, where the building of a New Jersey-based data center has a lot of people on edge.
Residents in New Jersey are pushing back against a proposed AI data center. It's part of a growing trend of residents fearful of potential energy price hikes and environmental impacts of those buildings.
I do live literally a block away from it, so it's something that I'm concerned about.
I don't want to have to pay for that in my taxes. We already pay enough with our taxes.
Locals say they had no idea the nearly 400,000 square foot center was coming to their community, only totaling 2 square miles.
They only sent like one mailing out, and I only received that recently as well. But yeah, I felt like we were just a little bit blindsided by it as well.
Town officials unanimously approved the development in 2025 without any public hearings. NJ.com reports construction began in early September, and the facility is expected to be up and running by early 2027. A petition to halt construction has earned over 4,000 signatures. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
Let's head down to my hometown of Trenton, New Jersey, where New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill, marking 100 days in office yesterday, unveiling a new pilot project aimed at making permitting easier and cheaper through the Garden State. The governor says from day one she ran on making New Jersey affordable for residents and developers.
But for too long, I've heard the same thing from so many of our businesses. It's just too hard to do business in this state.
She says the new permitting dashboard pilot is the first step in streamlining the state's permitting process for both businesses and residents. She says it will save time. We'll have to wait and see. While we're in New Jersey, lottery officials there say 18 people won either $1 million or $2 million in Wednesday night's Powerball drawing.
State lottery officials also say these second-place winners were actually among 89 nationwide. Now, in New Jersey, 14 of the 18 runner-up winners bought tickets worth $1 million, while 4 others had the $2 million winners since they paid an extra $1 for the power play option. Now, as for the big prize, someone in Indiana and another person in Kansas were the only 2 grand prize winners in Wednesday night's Powerball drawing, so they will split that $143 million jackpot. I'm Levon Putney.
In Hoboken, they're having all kinds of financial issues, budget issues. So now it is a cash grab from people who park there. It used to be after 9 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday nights, parking was free. No longer. They're going to start charging for parking essentially right up until midnight, which they think will raise a lot of revenue. People in Hoboken not surprised to hear they're doing this.
Hoboken has the second highest vehicle density in the entire state of New Jersey. Resident parking permits are oversold by about a 3-to-1 ratio on many blocks in Hoboken. It's best practice to have the meters turned on while you still have a lot of businesses that are operating, so you still generate turnover.
Yeah, that's the official with the city. The city's facing this $13 million budget gap, so they think this will bring in alone about $300,000.
Decided to take public transit. It's just much easier. I take the bus. It's too much. It's too hard. It takes up too much time. It's a mess. It may not work out. I don't know. I think we're going to get a lot less foot traffic, I think.
Clearly, they want to make more money on the on the parking. Yeah. I'm not thrilled about it, but, it is what it is.
Nobody's shocked by any of that. Hey, the Foo Fighters surprise fans with last-minute pop-up shows. One was last night, Irving Plaza here in the city. The next one's going to be tomorrow night in New Jersey. And what was cool about this announcement is the tickets were not sold online. First of all, they were $30 a pop, which is an incredible price. But you had to show up in person to get one of these tickets. Very old school of them. So the line outside the Starland Ballroom in Sayreville yesterday ahead of Saturday night's show, you can imagine was incredibly long with people hoping to score these tickets.
I'd ballpark close to 800, if not the full 1,000 I'd expect to be here before they cut the line.
I found out yesterday because I was in my friend's house and we called my mom and she said yes, so I didn't have to go to school.
I'm more doing it for my mom. She's definitely a big fan.
Yeah, so the lane snaked around the club. Not everybody that was in line was going to get those tickets, so at some point they cut it off.
It's all about the music, and you're in for a treat if you get in there. It's a locomotive of rock and roll energy coming right at you. I've been front row for the Foo Fighters, and maybe I'll get lucky, and I'll do that on Saturday.
Apparently, Irving Plaza had a good time last night. This second show tomorrow night in Sayreville. And one with this story, there was a YMCA soccer clinic for kids here in Queens yesterday, and it was all sort of a surprise. It was kids who are huge soccer fans, play soccer in their local communities, and Airbnb showed up amid this clinic yesterday, and they gifted free tickets to one match for all the people who showed up. These were all middle school kids who were playing in Jamaica yesterday.
We want to make sure that the excitement of the World Cup reaches every neighborhood in this region. So kids, every single one of you in this room is going to the World Cup.
Yeah, those are tickets that are thousands of dollars. The kids are pretty jazzed about this.
I feel happy because I've never been to a World Cup game before.
Oh, I'm feeling super energized, excited, all the good emotions.
This taking place at a Y where these kids play soccer. The person who runs the Y says this is actually a pretty big moment for the kids.
Opportunity to be a part of the things that they often see on television that they can't touch affects their total life and how they will see their possibilities.
Yeah, good job done by Airbnb. They're planning to give it about 1,000 tickets ahead of the World Cup.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Let me tell you about ProHealthConnect.com. It's transforming healthcare payments, providing retailers a seamless process for over-the-counter and healthy benefit programs. By connecting retailers, health plans, and payment processors, ProHealth Connect creates one powerful, unified network. They empower independent grocers and pharmacies to accept health benefit cards without changing how they do business. With over 10,000 locations nationwide, helping more than 1.3 million people access the care and nutrition they need. Go to ProHealthConnect.com.